this is why you see this film. It's an acting tour de force. I mean, this feels very akin to like the Oscar performances of the 90s with like Denzel Washington, Daniel Day-Lewis or something. Like this is like acting with a capital A. Hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a director and film editor, and today I'm going to be talking about the film Abang Adik. So this is a movie about immigration in Malaysia. Abang Adik means big brother and little brother, and the story is about two men who live outside of the system in Malaysia because they don't have an ID. So they don't have a bank account, they're not allowed to get a driver's license, they have a hard time finding work because they are ostensibly illegal immigrants. Even though they were born within the country, their IDs were lost, but they're unable to prove that they are Malaysian citizens. Two main characters have this unique issue, but a lot of the peripheral characters are just undocumented workers who are struggling within the country. And I think that this film is trying to make a strong statement about what it means to have bad immigration policy, you know, the problems with bureaucracy, and the struggles of people who are forced to live out of a system, you know, through no fault of their own. I think this movie is really saying that even though these main characters have this sort of unique situation, everybody with the more traditional, like I moved to a country for work, or I am brought here by my parents, therefore I don't have an ID because I just came along with another group of people. Everybody is in a situation kind of outside of their control, and nobody who is an illegal, so to speak, even though I know that's not the correct term anymore, nobody who is considered illegal is really trying to do something wrong. I would say story-wise though, this movie does suffer slightly from taking too long to make the relationships clear between Abang and Adik. You know, it takes about 3/4 of the movie for it to be revealed that these two characters met on the street when they were young, and they are not blood related. They are, so to speak, chosen family. They help each other, and they are brothers in the sense that they have chosen to become brothers. And I would say that this is actually a very important story point to make clear the emotional relationship between these two men. And it's something that I believe should have been revealed much earlier in the film. You know, I think there's an argument to be made that like perhaps the creators of this movie wanted to keep that relationship ambiguous and wanted us to kind of think that perhaps these two were related. And I think that's okay, but I think it happens far too long, because I think the far more interesting element of this film is allowing the audience to consider the idea of a relationship that is with your chosen family. Is that a strong bond? Is that a stronger bond? How easily can a bond between two people that have chosen to be together break? That happens towards the late part of the film that we think about these issues, but I really think this is one of the most important emotional elements and relationship elements within the film that I believe the audience should be allowed to mull over for much longer than we're given. And so that's the main story problem with me. And I wonder if this story problem is more of an editing issue than an actual writing issue. It's something that I've talked a little bit about on this channel before, whether something is a problem within the editing or a problem within the writing. And for this, I kind of would lean more towards the editing, because within the editing room is when you're allowed to discover how the flow of this movie is working. So what seems like a good idea on the page might actually not translate or not be clear. And you can only really tell that when you see the final product. So I think a lot of, especially in this, the story rearrangements should have been determined within the editing room. Now I know the editor maybe doesn't have that choice, but within the editing room with the director, with the producers, you know, being able to see the film and determine like, hey, you know, we probably need to maybe move this significant scene too much earlier so we can make that relationship feel stronger within the audience. Ground the audience so they know who these two people are and know why they care about each other. And then that in turn will make us care more about the two characters. I think that's something that maybe I'm biased because I'm an editor. That's where you can discover kind of those deficiencies within your story. And it's also where you can fix them. And the neglecting to fix them within this movie, for me, is a failing of the editing process, not the writing process. I think the story parts of this movie within the writing are all very strong and well thought out. I really appreciate the strong focus on the themes and the societal implications of this film, and how you take this relationship between these two people, which is very focused on. It's very focused on the relationships between Abang and Adik and their specific situation. It can be seen as a microcosm for this issue as a whole. It's done very well because it's not making us feel like this movie is so broad, trying to talk about so many big things. It's really talking about these people, but as we watch these people, we are allowed to consider society at large. What does immigration policy mean? What does bureaucracy do to people? How does it make people feel? Like how difficult it must be to be somebody in a situation where you feel like you're on the outside of a society. All of these are shown in the movie thematically, but they're shown through the singular story of these two men, which is great. I love that. Within the writing, they also do these great little character things to develop the relationship between these two men. We see a lot that is done within the script, like how Abang cooks and does so many things for his younger brother Adik. We see this beautiful character moment between them where they're tapping hard-boiled eggs on each other's heads, and that's such a great, unique character kind of quirk that these two men have, and it shows a really strong bond, and it's done so well throughout this, and it's such a unique little thing to see. I mean, I never thought that I would be crying watching somebody bang a hard-boiled egg on somebody else's head, but this movie and the script allowed me to feel very strongly about this specific quirk that these two men have. And so I think that's very nicely done. Now, to go back to the editing and why I think the writing is very strong and has all these elements, but the editing could have helped augment it more than it did, was that there is one extra scene with this egg tapping thing where they're explaining why they do it to a third character. And I think as you watch a movie in the editing room, you can see like, okay, maybe we don't need this extra scene. Maybe this is too much of this, and it loses some of the punch in the final use of this, that putting it too many times kind of takes away the weight from it. And that's something you can only determine in the editing room. I think overwriting and having, okay, I have these extra scenes, make sure we establish the importance of this egg moment, right? And then it's up to the director and the editor to determine, okay, I think we have enough of this that we can take one of these out. And I believe one of the scenes should have been removed from the movie. And that's just me personally. Maybe I like things that don't tell too much more than other people. Maybe other people wouldn't get it if that scene wasn't in there. I don't know. It's feeling like a producer choice to me. But I think it should have been removed. I mean, that's just nitpicking. So back to stuff that I liked a lot. I really like how this is a platonic love story between two chosen brothers. I love that relationship dynamic. I think so often romantic love is the main driving force of a film. And, you have a scene where two men are hugging each other and slow dancing with each other, and there's no implication that they're in love with each other in any kind of sexual way. This is fully platonic love between two straight men. I think that's an important thing to see portrayed in films. I think straight men don't have this expectation that they're allowed to have platonic love with their friends, but it's a really important and vital relationship for like emotional well-being. And in a lot of people, it's their strongest relationship, is their bond of friendship. And so I think seeing that portrayed in media more is great, and I love that about this movie too. So the main character, Abang, is deaf in this film, and he's played by Wu Kang Ren, who won the Golden Horse for Best Actor. And I think this is a very well-deserved win. This is why you watch this movie. I think all those other things are bonuses, but this is why you see this film, because it's an acting tour de force. I mean, this feels very akin to like the Oscar performances of the 90s with like Denzel Washington, Daniel Day-Lewis or something. Like, this is like acting with a capital A. There's a monologue towards the end of this film that is very, very strong and very well done, and just really drives home what an amazingly talented actor Wu Kang Ren is. I mean, he's doing something that is amazingly beautiful, which is that he's doing a whole scene through sign language and not speaking, but he's showing so much emotion. I mean, I would say that the scene leans a little bit towards like overly dramatic and a little schmaltzy, but Wu Kang Ren grounds it enough in real emotions, that you really feel that emotion and you can really feel the weight of this without it taking you too far. Like, you feel that what's happening to him is real and the things he's feeling are real. And the directing of this scene is really well done too, because it's a single static shot with the character almost looking at you, the audience. And it's kind of an indictment of us, because what the person is talking about is feeling abandoned, feeling let down by society, and that's us. We let that person down. The person is saying that his life is bad and there's no way to fix it, and anybody telling them that it's going to be okay is lying. And I really appreciate that about this movie, because I think in a way this movie is kind of like what people might call poverty porn. Like, it's something that, you know, liberals with sensibilities about, like, oh yes, immigration is important and they watch a movie like this to make themselves feel a little bit better about the world, and like, oh yes, there are good things happening. But this movie doesn't let us off the hook. It does, spoiler, spoiler, the main character doesn't have a happy ending. And so we're not allowed to be let off the hook to think that, like, people working towards change can necessarily fix something. It's showing you that society has this huge issue that maybe can't be fixed, but it's the responsibility of us to try to fix it. By not allowing there to be an NGO or a government kind of loophole that saves the day, it shows that this is an element that is wrong in our society. Like, having these people that are living outside of the system, having that exist is gonna result in tragedy. That's the only kind of realistic outcome. There's no realistic outcome to this movie that allows for a happy ending for this character. And that's important to consider. So I think this movie, Abang Adik, is a great film. The acting especially is really good. I think there's some minor elements that I think could have been better, but overall I think it's a great one to watch. Let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Yeah, and thank you for watching the channel. Remember to like and comment. Tell me what I should review next. All right, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.